Hey guys, Kyle here. So, just before the show starts, I wanted to mention our Patreon. You can pay us $1 a month as a thank you, as a tip. You can pay $2 a month to get access to one of our bonus content shows, episodes 2 days early, and a secret Discord chat where all of our Patreon donors get to go and hang out and talk with us directly. Then there's a $5 tier that you can donate to get access to a whole bunch more content. We have multiple bonus episodes on there. So please check it out. Patreon.com/itgetsweird. We don't advertise, we don't make money. So check it out and throw some money if you think that would be cool. Thanks.
Welcome to It Gets Weird, our comedy show where we explore the unusual, the unbelievable, and the unexplained to try and make your world a little weirder. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Niall.
And this week, I reached out to Niall and I said, I want you to write this down for me. I want you to pen this in your Rolodex. And I want you to put down the name of an important contact for our show. His name is Garrett.
We have Barack Obama. Oh.
And we got Barack
Michelle.
Obama is here.
Immediately peaked the audio.
Immediately. Yeah.
It's me. I survived the hunt last time. They didn't get me, so they brought me back. And I'm here.
We did hunt him for sport at the end of last time, yeah.
I forgot about that because my brain immediately went to the hunt of Bloodborne. So I thought Garrett
I did go
the
mad with
Nightmare of
Eldritch
Mensis.
Knowledge. That was a big reason why I made it as long as I did.
Yeah.
The Orphan
Yeah.
Cos, or whatever, however the fuck you pronounce that, gave me a kiss.
Or some say Cosm.
Cosm?
Yeah, that's a little.
Well, I kicked him in a chasm.
Played. You
You said, did you yell, "This is Sparta"?
Oh. Well, you did. Okay.
From the
That's kind of a
hit
fun-
Criterion Collection film 300.
Yeah, that's.
They didn't just distribute it; they straight up made that one. The only movie Criterion as a company has ever actually made.
Yeah. Yeah, and you fucking everybody knows.
However, they did sell the rights to Arrow Video for the sequel. So
Right, of course. And Arrow Video, it's the first film that they also put together and created themselves. Is
Yeah.
the sequel to 300, which is 301, as we all know. No,
Where does 102 Dalmatians fit into this?
I was thinking "This is Sparta" was actually released by Vinegar Syndrome.
Well, that's the
102 Dalmatians, I think, was released by PETA. I don't know.
Definitely. They put out, and it was all these like Dalmatians, and they gathered them
They
all
put
up.
all of them down.
Yeah, but like in the worst way possible. They put them into a big meat grinder. And like PETA's just like, this is what you do, and they point at the camera.
This is what you do. This is what you do.
Yeah.
As they're shoving Dalmatians into an industrial. Horrible.
Wow, this got fucked up immediately.
Awesome.
Jesus Christ.
God
Yeah, well,
almighty.
Maybe
From zero to
maybe-
dog death in record time.
Maybe we can. The only way we could beat that record is if we open up the episode with the intro and then immediately said dog explosion or something.
Yeah. We'll put that in the pin for like 350 maybe.
Please. No, this week I had to bring in Garrett because I think he may be the only person that I personally know who I think likely not only has some prior knowledge on our subject today, but likely has knowledge about the location, about things surrounding the subject of
the
this week.
pressure.
I mean, you don't have to like show up.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
What if you just you name drop the topic and Garrett's like, I have no idea what the fuck.
then
I'm like, what the hell's that?
look, egg on my face if you do, but frankly, I think that's highly unlikely.
Kyle's hyping my abilities up so much here.
Well,
Garrett has a college degree in this specific topic. He went into a general studies degree that he made his own curriculum.
I genuinely think. Look, I'll cut right to it. Okay. Oh, actually, let me dangle you on a thread there for a minute. Actually, if that's okay, do you mind if I kind of don't follow up on what I was saying?
I love a good tease.
Yeah. So in a couple minutes here, we'll get back to whether or not Garrett can follow through on his skills. Because I have an email I'd like to read.
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay.
My God.
We recently got a nice email that warmed my heart from Jose. And the email says, "Greetings from Chile, from a fan, historian, fellow It Gets Weirder." And Jose says, "Hey Kyle, hey Niall." And in this case, I'm going to add, "Hey Garrett," since, this person could not possibly have known that Garrett was going to be on the show. But hey Garrett.
I should have.
Realistically, you should know when you email us. Yeah, seriously. But nonetheless, we appreciate the email. It says, "I started listening to your podcast like 3 months ago, and it's fantastic. Love the weird stuff. I was listening to episode 206, Assortment of Cryptids, and I completely lost my shit when you guys talked about the Mbunche. Ends up, I'm from Chile, and I'm also a historian trying to go after a master on Japan's history. And also, I'm a school teacher, so I think I can propose something to you. That being said, I wanted to offer you guys help if you need anything translated from Spanish to help the podcast, and moreover, help you with stories from South America and especially Chile, since my studies actually leads me to learn a lot of weird myths, legends, and all around interesting matters. This little country, as weird as it gets, having a deep indigenous culture mixed with Spanish tradition. There's a metric ton of ghost stories, ghost towns. Sadly, our history is really bloody but interesting. Also, Chile is a huge spot for UFO, being our government the first to recognize the existence of UFOs, causing problems for our military. I even have a hot spot 20 minutes from where I live. I've seen weird stuff there. Shit, we even have a real Nazi colony to this day, but not just as Nazi as before. Long story. Turned out to be a cult, sort of religious cult, sex cult, with actual Nazis that escaped from World War II that also helped the dictatorship here. Wild stuff. So, if you want to know more or receive help with Spanish, I'll gladly help. I had a blast listening to you guys through the real awful stuff to the big cheese and other super soldiers. Love you guys. Keep it up and hope to subscribe to Patreon soon. Jose from Chile. Sorry for the broken English. Kind of hard to practice. Honestly, Jose, your English was perfectly. I understood everything you were saying. So, and thank you. That was so lovely.
Any good local stories, feel free to send them our way. I would love to talk. I like doing international ghost stories as well as like cryptids and stuff, just because it a lot of stuff in America is like, oh, it's another Bigfoot, oh, it's another dog man.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you go far afield, you get a bunch of weird stuff. And
you get like Kamazots, the giant Batman, right? Like I love that stuff. So definitely send them our way. And I mean, if I run into more South American stories that I need help with translation, then I'll definitely reach out to you. So thank you. Thank you for the email, Garrett, Niall. I want to talk to you guys about the 3 monstrous aquatic cryptids of the Monongahela River.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah. I was going to ask if one of the dangling threads was Chile.
It's not.
Oh, no? Okay.
I'm sorry, Garrett. Not today. This is
It's
the
not
dangling.
that. I was wondering.
This is the dangling thread of the river known as the Monongahela.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, is this like we're gonna get into like river serpents and shit? I'm into it.
It kind of. The Monongahela, for people who maybe don't know, it is like 130 miles long on the. I didn't actually look up how to pronounce this. Allegheny. Okay, see, there, Garrett already gets 1 point. He knew how to pronounce that. So the Allegheny Plateau. Oh my God. Plateau in north central West Virginia and the southwestern Pennsylvania. And so it's just this gigantic river. But kind of for our purposes, it's notable that the Monongahela is in Appalachia, which is, as far as I'm concerned, cryptid capital of the United States.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. Like, this is where we've seen so many huge, important cryptid stories. I mean, West Virginia is the home of Mothman and Flatwoods Monster. Like,
And Take Me Home, Country Roads.
Yeah. Brown Mountain Lights, Country Roads.
Oh, shit, yeah.
There's so much stuff out here. And it turns out the Monongahela, it houses at least 3 river monsters that I was able to kind of come across, although you can kind of... I was specifically looking for like aquatic cryptids. There's a lot of stuff that's said to like live on the banks of the Monongahela or nearby. But these in particular were like river monsters. So I'd like to kick this off with a creature called the Ogwa. Garrett, are you familiar with the Ogwa?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you might be.
I knew one of them.
It's probably like...
I think.
It's probably the most popular like Monongahela river monster. He also gets referred to as the Holt monster or the Rivesville monster, which we'll come back to the Rivesville monster in a little bit. It's believed to live in the Ohio, Allegheny, and of course Monongahela rivers. So the Ogwa is described as looking like an enormous alligator snapping turtle that's brown in color. It's believed to be approximately 20 feet long and is estimated to weigh somewhere between 450 and 500 pounds.
A snapping turtle this big would just snap you in half.
It would just crush you, yeah.
Yeah, you would be a light snack for this thing. Like, come on.
Yeah, it would be horrifying to get like... Snapping turtle attacks and bites and things are already really fucked up and scary and can remove like limbs sometimes. This thing would just crush you.
Remove a torso.
Yeah. Well, so in some stories, especially older stories, the Ogwa is described as having 2 heads. It lives in the water, but it's said to come on the land to hunt, and it will crush entire deer whole with its jaws.
And so... The fact that there's a phrase that is it comes onto land to hunt, not to like get food, but to hunt is Jesus Christ, this thing's gonna
snapping
kill
turtles
so
are
many.
Terrifying, man.
Yeah, they're monstrous already.
They're fucked little beasties.
This also kind of implies that it's like down there in the water with like fish and stuff, and it's like this is not enough.
Small.
Yeah, this is too small.
These are aperitifs at best.
This thing treats squirrels like peanuts. Like it just pops fistfuls of squirrels.
Yeah, it pops them out of their shells too to eat them. Degloving an entire squirrel just to knock it back.
Oh god!
Squeeze them like a toothpaste tube. You get it by the tail, and
I almost said squeeze them like a Go-Gurt.
Oh god. No, this thing like gets up and it like fucking crushes and tears deer and small, mammals and stuff. And its origins are theorized, quote unquote, to be from prehistoric times where giant turtles, I guess, roamed the area it was sighted in. So think like the ancient dinosaur stuff where like a plesiosaur survives to modern day. But
it'd be weirder if they were like, it's from like 20 years ago.
That would definitely be weirder. Well, I was gonna ask Garrett, is that like you know more about like was there such a thing as like a giant turtle from like prehistoric?
Oh my god,
times?
dude! Like the biggest one I think was Archelon. It was a massive sea turtle though.
Okay.
I think it was like the size of a VW beetle, maybe bigger.
That's so specific. That's like a very specific reference point. I love it. So yeah, this like giant turtle from back then supposedly managed to survive to the present day. So our earliest story that talks about this creature comes from a family that lived alongside the Monongahela River in the 18th century, like mid 18th century. So supposedly, a 12-year-old boy is fishing on the shore, just minding his own business, when a giant turtle just comes out of the water, snatches him up, and drags him under, and the kid is never seen again.
Jeez.
Fucking owned.
Talk about owned. So I guess the family goes like on a hunt to try and find the kid, but he's never found. And then days later, the family wakes up, I guess, and hears the sound of something rubbing against their cabin, like something huge. And one of the children of the house decides to look outside and sees a huge, dark, turtle-shaped shadow outside the house. And so the family's like, it wants to complete the cycle. It wants all the children. We're getting out of here.
This thing, so it seems like, without knowing it, someone in this family killed this thing's child, because now it's just like, I'm getting even on your entire family.
It's a Jaws
this
2
thing has,
all over again.
I was going to say John Wick, but yeah, you're right. Jaws 2.
It's like when Mike Myers meets anyone with the last name Strode.
It really is. This is just Jaws 2, but in this case it's Beak.
a two-headed 20-foot snapping turtle.
Yeah, yes. I was trying to think of an equivalent because like a turtle has like, would you call that a beak that they like?
Yeah, turtles
crush
have
you
beaks.
with? Okay, so yeah, this could be Beak, the movie.
We'll work on the title. We'll workshop it.
We'll think about it. So what's kind of cool about this particular story, and I think probably why this is maybe the most well-known of the three river monsters I'm going to talk about, is we actually have a story, a letter about this monster from the 18th century that was preserved on microfilm at the West Virginia University in the Draper collection.
Badass.
Right.
Don Draper?
Yeah, this is Don Draper's personal collection.
Draper?
Yeah. And this account comes from a young man stationed at Fort Harmer.
That just seems a little on the nose. What's this fort? Oh, it's where we harm people.
Yeah.
Okay, Fort Harmer.
On the opposite end, they have the...
Fort
Go ahead.
Beat people up. Fort bad guy.
Yeah.
Fort shoot men.
Fort Harmer. And then on the opposite end, you have Fort Healing, where all the medics go to train.
Fort Love, Fort Puppies.
Yeah, and they heal all the people at Fort Harmer, Fort Kick His Ass, Fort Fuck 'em Up. So this Fort Harmer location, this would actually be in present-day Marietta, Ohio. And in the letter, this young man, describes the Ogwa to his parents back home in Connecticut. So he writes, quote, "There is an animal in this country that excites the admiration of all who have had an opportunity to view it. Being amphibious, it resides in the water during the daytime, but at night repairs to the land in quest of its prey, which are deer. They lie in the deer paths undiscovered behind an old stump until the deer, unaware of its enemy, passes over him. This creature immediately seizes him and, entangling him in its tail, which is 15 feet in length, and notwithstanding all the deer's exertions to free himself, draws him to the water where he drowns and then devours him. One of our men lately discovered one early in the morning with his prey, of which he informed some of the company who were nigh. They soon came up with him and killed him with clubs. But the deer was dead."
It's just what you'd expect from guys from Fort Harmer.
Yeah, their solution is to beat it with clubs. Oh, God.
Fucking beat its ass.
This is a very violent episode so far.
It's going to be violence on both sides.
Which is funny because I just realized this episode's going up on January 1st, I think.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah. Yeah, no, this
Happy
is
New Year's. Turtle clubbing.
this is the first episode of the fucking new year. And we're ringing in 2023 with violence. But he finishes up his letter and it says, "It weighed 444 pounds. They live in a large muddy bank where we can find no bottom. It has two heads in shape resembling a turtle, and by the Indians is called agua or agu."
Makes sense.
So, there have been sightings of the creature for decades. Quite a few, I guess, took place in the early 1980s. So in the Fairmont Times, there was a report on a lot of these sightings that occurred in the area in the May 15th, 1983 issue. And supposedly...
My birthday.
Oh, shit, that is your birthday. Yeah. But, like, way before you were born.
Yeah.
Well,
you were like
semantics.
Years, you know. Fair. So on your birthday, Garrett, they were like, "Hey, there's a big fucked up monster in this river." and thus the seed was planted.
That's got to be a sign.
It's an early homage, you know?
Can we come up with, like, instead of star charts, like a cryptid that sort of determines your personality and whether or not you're worth dating?
I think that's just a BuzzFeed quiz.
That's fair.
You gotta be Mothman. Everybody wants to be Mothman.
Everybody wants to be Mothman. Well, everybody wants to be a Gemini, but you don't get to be.
Everybody wants to be a cat, okay?
I didn't think people wanted to be a Gemini. I thought that was like when you hit kids with your Prius.
Are all Gemini fated to hit children with their Priuses? I mean,
wow, okay.
I like the child violence aside, this does imply that at one point I will be able to have enough money to have a Prius. So,
excellent.
I mean, I guess, yeah.
Things are looking up.
Never mind the kid that I crushed under my Prius.
That's the Prius blood tax.
Is that what they do at the dealership? They're like, all right.
Well, they get the dealership gets the company gets a bonus for reducing gas emissions, but they also get, in doing so, they can exchange those for kid vouchers.
I was gonna say, like the predator-prey relationship charts that have, like, as rabbits increase, coyotes increase, and then when they decrease, but it's Prius dealerships in, like, elementary schools.
Yeah, you go to the Prius dealership and you sign off, you do all the paperwork, they hand you your car keys and you're like, finally. And you get in the car and the guy at the dealership kind of like knocks on the window and he's like, one more thing. And he points down the road and you see a small child like wearing suspenders. They've got a big lollipop and a beanie on. And he points to him and he looks you in the eye and he doesn't say anything, but the eyes communicate what you must do.
The Prius must feed.
Yeah. So in the report from Garrett's birthday in 1983, it was reported that there was this 20-foot long reddish-brown colored creature in the water that scared the local fishermen. It was said that this creature had a mouth that lined with razor-sharp teeth and a long, flat tail that could just churn the water so hard it turned into foam.
Makes sense.
The most commonly referenced report on the Ogwa is from summer of 1983. This dude, John Edward White, he was out there doing that catfishing shit that you do. John Edward wife. No, it's John Edward White and he was married to his John Edward wife.
Yeah, he bought her a novelty T-shirt.
Yeah.
That said John Edward White.
Yeah. So John Edward White was out there catfishing on the Monongahela. Specifically, he was at the mouth of Paw Paw Creek. And
fake names.
Well, no, Pawpaw is a fruit.
I know. I love them. Yeah. I just bought some at the farmer's market mere months ago.
Oh, yeah, you did. I remember you saying that. We get fruit updates in the group chat.
Fruit updates.
Yeah.
It is true. I do update my friends on all the fruits that I'm consuming.
Yeah, that is
I've never had a straight up Pawpaw, but I've had a Pawpaw flavored sour beer one time.
Ooh.
That Upland makes. It's really good.
Sounds like it fucks.
I've never sampled the delicious tastes and aromas of the pawpaw, unfortunately. I don't know. You're just kind of giving me FOMO
like
here.
You problem.
It is. You're right.
They are opening an Upland in Fishers, so you can go there.
All right.
Pawpaws are only ripe for like 2 months. Is the biggest problem.
You actually live closer to another one. Yeah, Pawpaws are really hard to get a hold of, I think.
They're very difficult to get a hold of.
Well, I have to have one before I die, so... Yeah. You guys got me really...
I saved seeds. In 5 years, I can get you one.
Oh, hell yeah.
Pencil that in.
Okay, let me put that on my calendar. So John Edward White, he remembers that night he felt an eerie feeling while he was fishing, but he just continued doing his thing despite how he felt. And then he started to notice these small waves in the water, but realized there were no boats anywhere in the area. and he didn't notice anything else in the river that would be causing these waves.
Of course, you'd never heard of wind. This was the 1800s.
This was a windless day.
It's God's breath, Garrett.
Yeah, God.
We all know.
God stepped away for a moment to eat dinner, so there was no wind. Didn't have time to blow in the direction of Paw Paw Creek, where John Edward White is. And so he's like, well, what the fuck? What the fuck is going on? And he starts to see these tiny fish. Yeah, he continues to have a what the fuck moment, and he sees tiny fish start jumping out of the water and swimming up the creek, almost as if they were being chased by something. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, a giant fin bursts out of the water about 30 feet away from him. And following that, he sees an enormous serpentine tail emerge from the water. And then it just immediately turns and dives into the water and disappears. And after seeing that, White packed up everything that he had and left and never returned to fish at that spot.
Fuck this.
Yeah, he literally.
Like a safe bet there. It's if you see. Okay, I have to ask a quick question.
Yeah.
Is the 20-foot measurement including the tail? Is this thing like a 5-foot turtle with a 15-foot tail, or is it just like?
That's my big thing. Yeah, is snapping turtles do not have very long tails.
I think that the tail is included in the measurement of the thing. And I think the implication here. Now, there's a weird thing with this particular story where, depending on who you ask, this is not the ogwa. This is a different thing.
I was going to say the other thing is that alligator snapping turtles do not have fins.
Right. So this creature gets associated with the ogwa, which is why I'm bringing it up now. But I'll reference it again later because there is another monster that it gets associated with that is not the ogwa. It's something else entirely. Now, what I really liked about the ogwa is there have been sightings for a long time, and they continue to happen. There were recent ones. So one of our most recent sightings was reported on in October of 2021 in the article Fishermen Spot River Monster in the West Fork River, reported by 12WBOY, which I think is a local news place. So it says...
What if that was a name?
12W Boy? Isn't that a 12W Boy?
Isn't that Elon Musk kid?
Yeah, thank you. I was going to say, isn't that... I was going to try and make a WB Du Bois joke, and I couldn't connect the synapses. I need to drink more water. My brain's not functioning.
He's dehydrated.
Yeah, for real. So the article says, it was a typical Friday night in the summer of 2019. Nate Moreno and Jake Byers would go catfishing on the West Fork River after work with another friend. The water was high and the sky was dark. The only light came from the moon and their headlamps. Around midnight, Nate recalls in the corner of his eye he saw something reflecting in the moonlight. It was a pretty clear night, so we had good light from the moon. At first, when I looked over, you could see something that is intruding the flow of the water. So you see the water as if it was going around a rock, and what I saw looked like it was a circle. It was big. So I just thought it was, possibly a ball, Nate remembered. The whole incident, the fisherman said, lasted than 10 minutes, but more than 5. I didn't really give much thought to it, but then as it kept swimming, I looked back and I could see what looked like a snake-like movement somewhere behind this ball. So, going through it in my head, I'm trying to think, what am I seeing right now? Nate recounted. And then I realized it's all one thing. It's all one creature of some sort. As Nate turned to his friends to point out what he was seeing, Jake told him he saw the creature the previous week when he was catfishing in the same spot around 10 p.m. It looked like someone swimming on their hands and knees crawling across the rocks, Jake said of the first time he saw the monster. Jake recalled that he and his friends decided to yell out to the figure they saw that night. Maybe a bum fell in the water. Let's go see if we can save him, Jake explained. And then we're sitting here yelling at this black shadow crawling up the rocks, and we realized it wasn't even looking, wasn't acknowledging us. Jake said that night he realized the creature wasn't human when he saw the snake-like tail. We're like, oh my gosh, it's a big fish or a muskie stuck on the rocks, Jake recalled. What's a muskie?
A muskellunge.
Sure.
It's like a big pike.
Oh, okay. The two began to cast toward the monster to see if they could drag it up with 2 poles that night. We realized that it was actually swimming upstream, Jake said, and I don't know of any kind of fish that would swim on the surface as fast as it was swimming upstream. On Jake's second viewing of the 10-foot monster, the group wanted to get a better look at what it was. There was this mad dash to try to get some kind of light on it, so we're all set up right where we're standing, and then in probably a window of 20 seconds, we tried to jump into a vehicle to turn it around so we could get some headlights on the river, Nate described. By the time we got everything situated where we would have good illumination on the river, it was gone. Nate said when he told the story to his friends and family, they laughed and didn't believe him. Then they came across last year's Paranormal West Virginia story on the Ogwa monster. For so long, there was no way to clearly identify it because we didn't know what it was. We just knew it was big and it was alive, said Nate. And then that's when we read the story about the fabled Ogwa, and it made complete sense. Nate said people can believe what they want about the creature, but he knows what he saw, and he believes there's something living in that river that can't be explained. I know what an alligator snapping turtle looks like. I've caught them before, and they do get massive, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is just a massive variation. But for how shallow the water is here and just general familiarity with the river, you know that's something that is existing and thriving here that otherwise shouldn't be, Nate remarked. So
this river should be dead.
So this thing was last seen in like 2019. This is a like very modern sighting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, this thing is like probably the most famous cryptid in that area.
Sea turtles, again, we're going back to sea turtles. They live for 70 to 100 years. There's that big tortoise, George. He lived like, is he still alive? I know one of them's still alive.
I think I know what you're talking about. That's
like Charles Darwin was alive.
Yeah.
Galapagos tortoise.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can live for a really, really long time. And I mean, I don't know. Who's to say? Not us. I'm not a biologist.
I'm going to say it. It is a big snapping turtle. It's been here for 400 years. It eats deer and children. And it's going to keep doing it.
Okay. Confirmed on the podcast. Garrett has confirmed.
The Ogwa is real. It's alive. And I wouldn't fuck with it.
Yeah, leave him alone, frankly. Let him snatch up the deer, like just don't let your kids near them.
Yeah, maybe enough with the children.
Yeah.
Getting snatched into the water like a chihuahua on a short leash, but
I imagine if this thing became an invasive species like elsewhere, like if it like migrated and
like when they wanted to put hippos in the Everglades.
Yeah, they just overrun the place with like enormous snapping turtles that can crush buses.
God, I don't know exactly where that was. I mean, it turns the world closer and closer to Monster Hunter. Like, if that's just like a random enemy, that's
sick.
That
awesome.
sucks.
I would like to be able to drive across the country without having random enemy encounters, though. To be fair,
yeah.
I've mostly avoided those in my life.
No random turtle events for Kyle.
Please, I would not survive.
Instead of quick time event, it's quick turtle event. And you should have like a really quick encounter with a fucking turtle.
Press A to not get snapped in half by its enormous jaws.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the Ogwa, boys. That's the big one. That's the daddy of Monongahela water cryptids. Next up, we're gonna talk about a cryptid that gets called Monongi.
Oh,
okay. Is this like a Nessie of because a lot of those follow that format?
It's not actually. I wish actually.
For a loop.
Yeah, I didn't make this guy up. Somebody else did. But
such a fucking cynic. Oh man.
Well, I have a reason with this one.
Okay.
So yeah, Monongi, which they're a funny guy that autocorrect desperately thinks should be named monogamy when I try to write about him. But Monongi,
a marriage should be between two people only. The Mormons have done it wrong for years.
Oh my god.
the fucking. A fucking water monster getting really pissed off on how many profiles he's running into on Tinder that say ethical non-monogamy on them.
Yeah.
The sea monster has become Catholic.
I'm not your unicorn.
This thing really goes after like polyamorous thruples on swan boats, you know? That's its like natural enemy.
You're safe as long as you're monogamous, but if you're fucking trying any of that polyamory shit, this guy will come for you.
3 people sharing a milkshake on the banks of the river, and it comes up swiping and slapping.
That's really good. So Monongahela is a half fish, half man creature, and believe it or not, he's named for the river that he's said to inhabit.
What halves? Please continue.
Well, okay, you can basically think of the creature
side by side.
Yeah, yeah. You perfectly. Yeah, it's like man, but like when it comes to, it has like a perfectly bisected down the middle penis, for instance, and like one single butt cheek.
Looks like a health diagram.
Yeah.
Looks like a textbook.
Yeah, it looks like a textbook, sort of like a diagram. But then the other half is like a fish. It's really fucked up, actually.
People hate it.
Yeah. No, you can basically think of this guy as the creature from the Black Lagoon. Like, that is essentially what this is. It's like a fish and a man went into a transformation machine and melded together, like in The Fly. So it's believed that stories of Monongahela in the area began to circulate again during the 18th century. So this was during the French and Indian War that occurred between 1754 and 1763. Now, the thing is, I cannot find an actual source on this guy outside of some references to supposed Native American legends in the area. And a lot of this story goes back to one place. And at the end of the day, not spoilers, but this is likely because he's probably not real. But nonetheless, it's claimed that stories of the Monongahela were written down by British soldiers during the war. And these stories, I guess, came mostly out of what would now be like Pittsburgh. So this is the Pittsburgh fishman, essentially. So supposedly, Native Americans on the British side of the war would see British soldiers going out to fish at night, and they would come up and be like, don't do that, because the nighttime is when the Monongahela comes out of the river to stalk prey, and that includes humans.
Fall in love with a human woman.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're like not currently looking to date a fish man at the moment, or if you also don't want to be like murdered and have your flesh devoured by a fish man, you're going to want to stay away from the river. Do not fish at nighttime. So it's said that the stories of this creature would persist ever since then. And that there were a number of sightings that supposedly occurred between 1930 and 1950. And I guess at this time, folkloric stories of Monongahela were getting passed around the area. And this sort of led to a smattering of sightings, which then led to a police investigation. Now, again, very notable that there is absolutely no evidence of this investigation happening. But I think the final nail in the coffin for this guy for me is that there is no reference to the word Monongahela in the language of the Native American tribes that lived in the area. Just none. But that's the story that comes out of this area.
Debunked.
Well, so I traced the story of the Monongahela to, like, basically, you know how you run into these articles about a cryptid and then realize that every single one of them is saying the exact same thing and they're referencing back to one other article?
Yep.
Yeah.
This one went back to a 2015 article in the Pennsylvania Tribune Democrat titled Monster Mystery Endures, written by Bill Eggert. And in it, he explains the origins I mentioned of the creature from the war, and he also brings up the war that those conditions sort of produce the monster that falls in love with women on the beach and also kills people. But it also references the sightings from the 30s through the 50s, which I think is a pretty good Jeff Rosenstock song.
Yeah.
Or is it 80s through the 50s?
It's 80s through the 50s, but I knew what you were talking about.
But he even goes so far as to claim that a quote-unquote task force was specifically created by the cops to handle the creature.
I love a good task force. Every time there's like a cryptid that attacks somebody and it's like, there was this task force. And it's like, no, like the FBI just sent like a guy to go look into it to cross some T's and dot some I's. And then he went home. Didn't happen.
Hey,
Yeah,
Dave, can you go check out this fucking Monongahela thing?
Yeah, we're sending Dave, and Dave ends up getting there and just rallying the police to become a fucking cryptid killer crew.
Let's get him.
Yeah. So the thing is, unfortunately, once again, there's absolutely no evidence that a task force for the Monongahela was ever created. So tenuous that this guy was even a thing.
Just angrily counting on my finger. There was no Monongahela. There was no task force.
Well, I wanted to kind of read how this guy, Bill Eggert, wraps up his article on the creature. So here's what he says in Monster Mystery Endures. No proof of the existence of the Monongahela until 2003, that is. A fishing boat, privately owned, provided not only a report of a sighting, but also provided photographic evidence of the creature as well. The photos were displayed online for a brief period before they were suddenly and mysteriously removed. Conspiracy theorists conjecture that the government moved in and confiscated the photos to deny the Monongahela's existence. It is reported that cryptozoologists from around the world continue to navigate the Monongahela River on a yearly basis to establish tangible evidence of the Monongahela's existence. Time will tell if they are successful. When you Google Monongahela today, you come up with a race called Search for Monongahela. This swimmer's race originated in Pittsburgh in 2010 and has occurred every year since then. The race occurs in the
Allegheny
River, starting at Hinesfield and goes to the Roberto Clemente Bridge, where swimmers turn around and head back to Hinesfield. It is a race only. There is no search for the Monongahela involved, probably due to the fact they are swimming in the Allegheny River and not the Mon. So does the Monongahela actually exist, or did it exist? Doubters claim the legend was created by the founders of the swimmer's race. Others say that an aquatic monster living for over 200 years, especially in the polluted Mon River, is unreal. Yet, there are believers out there, the ones who believe in Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, and UFOs. They are the dreamers, the romantics, the visionaries. They see things that others do not. They are not doubting Thomases. They are true believers. Does the Monongahela exist? I'll keep you posted.
That's sweet. He decided to go out on like, you guys are great. Just it doesn't exist, but you guys are great.
It's not real, but I love y'all just the same.
So here's what I say to that.
Yeah.
All the pictures were removed in 2003, you said. So is it, I think it's entirely possible that actually that the Monongahela was central to the Iraq War. And its disclosure was a matter of national security.
Okay. You went one extra step, and I appreciate that.
Were you going to say that was bin Laden?
Well, I thought you were going to say that the Monongahela orchestrated 9/11. But I think being responsible for the entire Iraq War is honestly like an extra layer that's better than just attributing this random river cryptid to the tragic events of September 11th, 2001. So thank you for that.
Monongahels can't melt steel beams.
See, this is why we bring Garrett on here, is he goes the extra mile with his bits. So yeah, that's the Monongahela. I don't think he's real. I mean, it would be really funny to me though if like this like river race group was like, how do we advertise this?
It would be really funny to me if a river monster did 9/11.
That would be funny too, actually. That would be such a head scratcher for everyone.
I do think it's funny that like people are just doing this race. Just decide, okay, we're gonna name this after like I could see the pitch meeting for this. I could see like, oh, what should we call this race? What can be the hook? Oh, well, let's like we all know about like cryptids and stuff. Let's just there's just like a fish guy, and it then gets turned into this like national story that not like super public, but it's a story that's now out there, and they're just like, oh shit, we fucked up.
Yeah, or maybe that's exactly what they wanted. I don't know.
I mean,
maybe this is them doing exactly. This is the exact desired outcome.
It's just like The hodag. You know, it's a fun little cryptid for your shitty little county.
Yeah.
To say, look, we got something.
It's like the Abaguchi.
Yeah.
So,
oh, man.
thank you. So yeah, that's Monongahela. Our last thing here.
That's Monongahela.
When the moon hits your eye and you can't fish at night, that's Monongahela.
I'm glad you took it because I was not able to come up with something that quickly.
I was trying to think of like comes out of the water to eat a guy.
Yeah. I mean, that's the second.
Good.
That's the second stanza. You know.
Somebody's got to record that's Amore, but that's Monongahela for us. Please.
Feature it.
Do we have enough clout to get people to make music for us? I don't know if we're quite there.
I was going to say.
If anyone wants to take a crack at it.
We always ask for art and stuff. Now
Yeah.
it's finally time. Write an entire parody song for us.
I would also say if you want to write this parody song for us based off of what we just described, if you want to kind of know the sort of like delivery that we want on this song and how you would perform it, go onto YouTube and look up John Dacre.
Yeah, there you go.
And check that out. So that's a fun video.
My mic.
It's okay. You're all good. So yeah, that's the Monongahela. We're going to wrap this up with a brief mention of the Rivesville River Monster. So first and foremost, there is crossover between this guy and the Ogwa because that 1983 story of John Edward White, the coal miner guy catfishing on the banks of the Monongahela.
He was lying about who he was online on the banks of the River.
Yeah, he was.
I'm just picturing that guy coming home. John Edward's wife. You'll never believe what happened.
Your husband's being arrested for fraud.
Why is John Edward's wife making me laugh so much? It's not like...
Well,
oh man,
this guy's story gets attributed to both of these cryptids. The guy who saw the serpentine tail and all that.
Would you say this town was called again? Rivesville?
Rivesville, yeah.
This is just it's throwing me for a loop because I'm picturing them like being like, we've got to name the town. We're by a river. If we just called it Riversville. And somebody's like, wait a second. And they come up and they put their hand over the second R.
Yeah.
And they go, oh shit, we've got it.
That's a great story. That's like slightly different from Riversville, which is like way more on the nose.
yeah.
My God, we're geniuses.
No, dude, I'm assuming Rives was some dickhead.
Some dumb white bastard.
So this guy, Jesus Christ, the Rivesville River Monster and the Ogwa, they kind of
Kiss.
Kiss all the time in the river.
They're dating. The Rivesville River Monster and the Ogwa are engaged.
They're in love.
Oh my God.
They're deeply in love with one another. And it's a beautiful thing. But yeah, it's basically this same Ogwa creature, but there are some people who claim that there's one that is unique to the area where it was sighted, which is that dickhead's town, Rivesville, West Virginia.
Can I go back real quick?
Yeah.
And just say when Garrett said that they're engaged, I should have said, and they're registered at Bass Pro Shop. Can we just like edit that back in?
Hey, you have the editing power here, Niall. You go and do whatever you want. You slice and dice that little portion so it sounds like you had the timing that you desired, and boom, bam, you're in.
If we're editing bits back, I want it to be if they're the same monster but different. One of them's got like a big rack and like fake eyelashes.
Why does this have to be a hetero?
Okay, yeah, no, they're gay.
Heteronormative. Yeah, this. How do we know they're not like lesbians?
Diversity win. Your river cryptids that eat deer are gay.
Yep. The Ogwa is a lesbian or a gay man. Whatever your headcanon is.
Friendly.
Yeah, that's
fix it.
Perfect.
For the.
We're looking forward to
cryptids.
seeing everybody at the celebration at the Bass Pro Shop. So what is the Rivesville River Monster? As far as their descriptions go, it's very similar to the Ogwa. I didn't find any like original stories about this guy. So or gal,
It's fake.
like I said, could be a lesbian. As an apology, I have a fourth cryptid that dwells in the Allegheny River.
Now,
Which
the Monongahela was not happy about thruples.
that's true.
Is this wise?
True. This so true. Yeah. Hopefully, the Ogwa and the Rivesville monster are not trying to
Introduce
get
a
a
third.
Yeah. Like they're both on Tinder together, and they see that that this Allegheny River monster has a pineapple in their profile, and they think about it. This is just me saying that I recently learned that apparently if you put a pineapple in your profile on dating apps, that means you're like, hey, I'm in for swinging, or I'm in to be your third.
I thought it just meant they were a fan of the hit TV show Psych.
It's SpongeBob, actually. Okay.
I didn't know that either. That's
I
haven't been on dating apps.
I didn't know it, and then
It explains a lot.
Context clues. Look, I've learned a lot on Tinder in the last couple months. That
Kyle's been swinging. You know.
No. No, I just like it's really weird because like I don't need to go on this rant, but there's been like an extra
But
like
he's gonna.
new layer of like language on those apps that I am like I didn't know anything about this shit. And so like using it recently, I've just been like learning stuff like that. I'm like, oh, okay, these people, that's what a pineapple is. Huh, okay, didn't know that. So anyways,
It's like the handkerchiefs in the back pocket.
I don't know what that means.
Hanky code, yeah.
What? Explain immediately. What does that mean?
Putting different colored handkerchiefs in your back pocket was supposed to be the colors corresponded to different things that you were into.
Oh, okay.
And it was a way to be
what?
discreet about it.
Okay. What's the handkerchief for laughing and having a fun time?
I don't know. I mean, there's some aggressive ones.
I'm gonna look this up later. I've never heard of this. This is
There's ones that are like fisting, shit like that.
Jesus.
Oh my god. Okay, cool, awesome. I mean, good for them. I'm learning so much in the last month, dude. Holy shit.
Dude, it's like at work when they've hired like a couple kids like fresh out of high school and like listening to them talk. It's just like, what in the fuck are you guys saying?
Yeah, so I was
Jesse,
the
what the
pineapple
fuck are you
unicorn.
talking
Yeah, so I was kind of handkerchief pocketing as a pineapple unicorn the other day.
It's a nonsense sentence.
So, what was I saying?
The fourth cryptid.
Yeah, the Allegheny River monster gets a weird story in the New World Explorers Society blog spot.
Like Allegheny, and we're saying it wrong even still.
Allegheny. I'm sorry, dude. I'm so
No,
bad
I
with
was
speaking
counting myself in there.
words. But yeah, this was a story that I had not found attributed to any of the other guys that I covered today, but I thought was kind of interesting. It was on a warm spring day in March of 2008 when an unnamed witness was out near Lock 3 on the Allegheny River. The river was exceptionally high and dark with mud this day because recently there had been a very heavy storm filling the river to the point of almost flooding. The area around Lock 3 was a place where the witness had gone many times in the past to fish and enjoyed the churning brine of the river. Anyone who lives near a river knows that they are one of the major sources of recreational activities for the local populace. Thank you for the commentary on that in this blog post.
Near a river loves brine.
It's so true. It was on this day that the witness returned to the area. The reasons in the original source are not specific. I wish I knew what that original source was because I don't know. So it could have been to return to the glories of a simpler time with rod and reel in hand, or to simply reflect upon those times and enjoy the natural scenery.
This is like a recipe. Get like when did they get to the fucking?
Where is the fucking brownie
first.
recipe here?
Yeah, the brownie
What
recipe.
do I need for this? Do I need an air fryer? I don't fucking know.
It's like the brownie recipe that starts with the woman talking about where she was when 9/11 happened.
Full circle.
So, while in ponderance of thought, however, he began to hear the sound of thrashing in the water. Scanning the horizon, he saw a great churning in the chocolate-colored murk. The rising of great
fucking purple.
It's chocolate-colored, actually. The rising of great wakes and bubbles and froth, disturbing the natural flow of the river. The form was very near the shore, and you can just call it like the creature, the form.
Chris Claremont fucking wrote this shit. This is
Come out of the Brown River.
wild.
The farm was very near the shore in a patch of marsh where there were a great number of trees. The witness's eyes scanned the beast and noticed it was colossal. Its form was large and serpentine, with various shades of brown coloring on top of the body. On the underbelly, the beast was a bright yellow, and the body splashed and churned like a great fish. The size he estimated to have been around 20 feet long from what he could tell out of the water. From what he could tell of what was out of the water. Sorry, that's written kind of weird. The man could hear noises and an increase of splashing as he continued to watch this bizarre behemoth and realized that this creature was further on land than he had realized when he looked, and there out on the shore was a large head about 4 to 5 feet wide. Its head was like a great catfish, but without the prominent whiskers. The creature had eyes on the side of its head, and from where he stood, he could see one huge yellow eye with a black pupil. The creature had a tremendous mouth, and that's when he noticed something bizarre, for the mouth seemed to move strangely, and as he peered at the gaping maw more, he noticed that something was squirming inside and trying to get out. From what he could tell, it was either a dog or a small deer, and it struggled in the vice-like grip of the monster's mouth. The creatures continued this dance of death until, with one final crunch, the underwater assailant crushed its jaws down on the animal and proceeded to drag it under the water, leaving not even a trail of blood in its wake. The entire fight lasted only 10 to 15 seconds. The witness stared in disbelief and continued to look into the murky deep and realized if he were only here a few moments earlier, chances are he would have been supper for some supersized submerged creature.
I need to get a fucking sampler interface or something, just like something that I can put sound effects on, and just anytime there's a fucking dead dog in one of our episodes, I just have to fucking hit the bell. We couldn't get through a single episode. Not at all.
What kind of like what sample do you think would put like applause or
the Vine boom sound effect?
Yeah, something like that. It's just maybe a musical sting. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think that's we're kind of at the point where that kind of needs to be, because like then
just a dog barking.
Yeah.
I do hate that, like, we have not hate. It's interesting that we've created a brand where if we eventually made merch and there was some kind of opaque dog death reference, it would fit in the brand of the show.
Yeah.
It's
not our fault. It's not our fault. It's in these stories all the time. And then it became this like ironic joke of like, wow, the It Gets Weird boys love killing dogs, which couldn't be further from the truth. And yet here we are.
It's weird. Keep your dogs away.
Yes. Yeah. Like, it's just like, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The killing of a dog in these stories of cryptids and other creepy stuff is a cheap and easy way of like unverifiable scary death, right? Like if a person disappears and like, you're not going to find like police like records of like the dog that was murdered typically, and not in these stories at least. It's like, so it's like, I don't know. There's like this sort of like,
it's cheap drama.
Yeah.
It's an easy tug at your emotional heartstrings. Everybody loves a dog.
Yes. And you don't have to like verify it or like try and prove it. You can just be like, oh yeah, the Bigfoot stepped out of the forest and snatched my dog up and snapped him in half like a twig and then drank his blood. Like you can just say that. and it works every time, I guess. So it creates a sense of creepiness.
Dog down like a spaghetti noodle.
Yeah. Exactly. And
I was helpless to stop it.
Couldn't do anything about him just absolutely crunching my dog like so many candy bars.
So many fine biscottis.
It sounded like one too. It sounded like a person crunching into a biscotti. It was not good. I will not be able to eat biscotti anymore.
I can't sleep.
Yeah. Rover's been masticated into 1,000 little mushy pieces.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
By the Jersey Devil.
We have to move on. Oh my God.
I do like this concept of like this river is just stuffed to the gills.
Yeah.
With big fucking monsters. Like, do not fall in the water, whatever you do.
Yeah. with just like a bunch of 20-foot fucking.
Yeah, they're all
like,
huge.
they're all massive,
enormous. I mean, I think it's just like people are just like, oh, this river is fucking huge and long, and so clearly the things that live here. I mean, it's also like old stuff living in here. It's like your brain goes to that place of like, well, the things here have to be old and huge too, right? Like,
yeah,
it makes sense. It's a folklore thing, but like
these cryptids are elderly.
Yeah, they're all. That is the thing that they don't really mention is these cryptids are all kind of like on their last leg.
All these cryptids have got fun little like big Coke bottle glasses and like big white mustaches.
Yeah,
it is funny to think that like the average age of a cryptid is like they're all eligible for AARP.
Yes, these are geriatric cryptids. This is essentially an old folks' home. This river is an old folks' home for cryptids.
Ma, they
get like
Bigfoot
a 59-cent soda. Yeah.
Yeah. One other detail I forgot to mention is that Monongahela carries around a colostomy bag.
Oh, no.
So.
Poor thing.
So, yeah. So as far as the Rivesville monster and this creature that I just talked about, I don't have a source. I'm just taking what this one like cryptid society claims happened at face value. I can't go back anywhere. I mean, they're making it up. Okay, don't put the onus on me, please.
Maybe the cryptid society doesn't even exist. You know?
It's possible. I don't want to rule anything out. So yeah, it's just like this folkloric tale of what may be an amphibious salamander-esque river creature, which brings me to my very tiny little end note for this whole thing. People talk about like, what are these things? As far as the like fish man, the Monongahela and like the Rivesville monster and stuff, and the guy I just described, people are kind of, some have suggested that these stories could come from Native Americans witnessing a creature known as the hellbender salamander, which, you know,
it's big.
Go ahead.
The hellbender is a big salamander.
And that's you?
No, I just said it's big.
I thought you said that's
it's me.
Yeah.
It's me.
I thought you
Well, the idea being that like you could see like how in the 18th century somebody sees like an especially large turtle or an especially large salamander and writes a note about how they saw the fucking monster of the Monongahela or whatever, and then that story becomes folklore and gets passed around and et cetera, et cetera.
And it gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and it gets bigger and bigger. People increase it by at least an inch. Yeah. Yeah, and like, so that's probably that's the explanation. And as far as the hellbender salamander as being like an explanation for a lot of the monster sightings in the river, I have a little blurb here on that guy that I got from nature.org just because I thought it was kind of fun. So the hellbender, called such unflattering names as mud devil, devil dog, and ground puppy, the hellbender salamander is the largest aquatic salamander in the United States, growing as long as 30 inches, though the average is 12 to 15 inches. It can be found slowly crawling across the bottoms of clear, silt-free mountain streams from southern New York to northern Alabama. And a separate subspecies, the Ozark hellbender, is confined to a small part of southeast Missouri and northeast Arkansas. So there's a big-ass fucking salamander in the United States that could make, like, the question is it possible that it grew larger than like its 2 foot maximum that's like recorded, or like, you know, that's the idea. That's
it went up tenfold.
Yeah. We get an average of 12 to 15 inches on this thing, but we're talking a salamander fit for a size queen.
Oh my god.
So
they gave it milk.
I was just about to announce that I'm going to take myself out back and shoot myself for this episode. But it is important that we explain that the salamander was fed milk. That is...
Yeah.
That's it.
That's the answer.
It. Yet again, add it to the fucking list. We've solved so many things here.
We really have.
A big salamander, a bunch of milk, and now it's 20 feet long and it eats deer and little kid fishermen. Simple
And it's
as
lived for like
done.
100 years.
Exactly.
Yeah, when you give a mouse a cookie, when you give a hellbender some milk. This is the story that we're going to be working on. That we're going to we're going to develop some AI art and kind of slap together some shit. And it'll be coming out early next year. And that's a promise.
That's a guarantee.
So,
We swear to you.
that's all I've got. Do you guys have any other fucking shit you want to say?
Not really. I think we're all set up unless you want to
Think
I
of
don't
how
know, is there
cool
anything
it would
gross
be
that
to
we
have
talk
like
about?
a big salamander. You're holding it like a baby in your arms, and you've got it like you're giving it like milk.
Yeah, like breastfeeding it and stuff.
I was thinking,
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, now especially, it's even more
Yeah.
badass.
That'd be so sick.
It's fucking awesome.
So, are you guys ready for a big question?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay.
Free us.
Okay. If you caught one of these river monsters while fishing on the Monongahela, would you do the right thing and perform a catch and release, or would you feel compelled to keep, cook, and eat the creature because this is the only chance you get to say that you ate a cryptid?
Can anyone fault me for wanting a succulent meal?
An unforgettable meal.
I mean, yeah, it probably would be like that is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I do worry that there would be some sort of Moby Dick situation where it'd be big enough that it starts like dragging you around the lake.
Well,
And I would have some trouble.
in this scenario, you successfully capture the creature. And in this scenario, there's some sort of weird, for some reason, you can't show anybody, but you can immediately eat it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, if I'm going fishing for it, could there be the possibility I've set up a cheap above ground pool?
Yeah, it's entirely possible. But like I said, in this scenario, you don't get to share that you have experienced this creature unless you eat it.
Okay, so you can share that you experienced the meal,
Yes.
but not the creature
Yes.
itself. Okay. That is interesting because like there's ways that you can try to break the question, but I don't want to try to break the question. I just want to go with it. But like I don't know if I could bring myself to cook and eat something. First of all, that was 20 feet long, but second of all, that like I don't know, cryptids feel like sentient in a way that I would have some trouble eating.
Okay.
So I think I would have to catch and release this thing. I think I'd have to like
Okay.
also then get the fuck out of the like 5 mile radius of that thing.
Yeah,
You know?
that's fair.
Apologize.
Yeah.
But you don't have to worry about it coming back to get you if you eat it.
True.
So I'm probably going to eat the hell out of the ogwa.
How would you take down the ogwa? Like if you had that thing
Again,
on a fishing
this
rod.
is a pure fantasy scenario in which you
Oh no, I was asking how you would do
I
it.
would use
Tom and Jerry, you know he ate a cheese.
I'm gonna there'll be like a box with like a really big box with like a stick propping it up and a string attached to the stick, and there's like a small deer carcass underneath that, and I just trap it under the box and hit it with a really, really big mallet over the head,
Okay.
like a cartoon.
I was thinking trying to like jaws it where like you use you shoot the things into its back so it floats to the top. But then everything goes wrong and you end up having to blow up a tank in its mouth.
Yeah, and I was thinking about living inside a cartoon.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, look, I know that you think about that often.
Yeah.
You really do. Maybe you need to think about it a little less of the time.
well,
But
I'm having fun. So
I think
yeah, Garrett, we need to hear your definitive stance.
I think I'm gonna cave to peer pressure and let it
Good.
go.
Oh,
Because
even though
you
I'm
can
on the
never
side
tell-
chanting, eat it, eat it,
yeah,
eat
but
it.
you could never tell anybody because then be like, "Why'd you eat it, you fucking dickhead?"
You don't understand. I was in a fake scenario where I had to.
yeah. I'm in that club where rich people travel around the world to eat forbidden
And see,
things.
I'm in that club where I don't have that kind of money, so people can still like shove me and shit. And
Yeah.
be like,
Yeah.
"Why'd you eat it, you fucking bastard?" like smack me on the face and shit. Like I don't want that smoke.
That's understandable.
So I would let it go.
Okay.
Kiss it on the way as it flopped back into the water. I'd say goodbye.
Okay. Couple of good boys. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I'm like surly and naughty.
Dude.
Yeah, I am sick. I'm sorry.
You're freaking psychotic. You lust for cryptid death.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It was one dog too many.
Yeah, I have to move on to bigger game, the deadliest game. That's all I got, boys. Are we ready to move on to some business?
Yeah. So if you want to find us online, you can find us on Twitter at IGW Podcast.
You can follow us on Facebook.com/itgetsweirdpodcast.
And we're on all your favorite podcatchers from Stitcher to Google Play to Apple Podcasts to Spotify. If you listen to podcasts somewhere, look up It Gets Weird and we're probably there.
Twitch.tv/itgetsweird. We haven't been streaming these last week or two because of the holiday, but we'll get back to it soon. So if you want to catch me and Colin playing Elden Ring, and sometimes we do other stuff on there, come join us and follow us on Twitch. Email us at itgetsweirdpodcast@gmail.com. If you like the email that was read up front, you could be one of our listeners who gets read on the show like that. So please hit us up, let us know. Which cryptid would you, I feel like we've asked this before. Nobody emailed us this, but which cryptid would you like to eat? Which cryptid do you think would be the tastiest? Which cryptid do you think would make the best soup broth? And then, of course, patreon.com/itgetsweird. We have a $2 tier and a $5 tier. At the $2 tier, you can listen to our bonus show, It Gets Weird TV, where right now we're talking about The X-Files Season 1. And then at the $5 tier, you get that show, plus the off weeks of It Gets Weird TV, you get another bonus show. So you're getting bonus content every single week at the $5 tier. Whether you donate to the $2 tier or the $5 tier, you get access to the main show 2 days early on Friday instead of Sunday, and you get access to our Discord where we're hanging out, chatting about tasty cryptid treats all the time with our listeners. And there's also a $1 tier where you can donate. You don't get anything out of it. You just say, hey, I like your show. Here's $1 a month. Thanks for doing what you do. If you can't donate, please tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your congressman all about It Gets Weird podcast.
Thank you all for listening. Happy New Year. And this has been It Gets Weird. I've been Niall.
And I'm Kyle signing out.
Bye.